The time being 7:30, I'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, jeez. Oh, thank you. Roll call, please.
Twenty-two supervisors are present. Supervisor Brown is excused.
Citizens' comments. Are there any citizens wishing to speak? Any citizens wishing to speak? Any citizens wishing to speak? Hearing none, citizens' comments are closed. Moving on to announcements of the chairperson, I have none. We do have Charlotte Sunday from the Finance and Administration Committee and Youth and Governance attending tonight. Welcome. Very nice to have you here, Charlotte. Moving on to supervisor reports. Supervisor Grady.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just keeping our Department of Public Works statements here brief. You'll be hearing enough from me later on with different resolutions and so forth coming forward. But oftentimes, when Public Works is viewed from citizens' perspective, it has to do with roads, closures, detours, things that make people real kind of not so happy. But just kind of a short update. County E in between 30th Avenue and Sheridan Road is essentially complete. They have some striping and so forth to do, but I drove on it this past weekend and it appears to be a pretty nice job. County H, 88th Ave from Highway 50 down south is still under repair. That's going to be at least several more weeks to get that straightened out. We'll get you a prize as time goes along, but that is a bit of a bottleneck out there. State Highway 50 out by County Highway W, which is by the Fox River. It's my understanding they have moved from the westbound lane repairs to now the eastbound lane. Supervisor Nordigan's nodding his head yes, so I'm taking that as an idea of affirmation. So there's more things we can go into, but I'll wait till my monthly report, which will be coming up next month. But on each one of our supervisors' desks, we have this little thing that was provided to us by Joe Potente. It was in today's Kenosha News, and it details some of the happenings out at Bristol Woods, and specifically Pringle Nature Center. And as I've mentioned before, the 24th of this month, which will be this coming Monday, we will have our Public Works meeting out there, and encourage you all heartily to attend. There's some cool things out there. In addition to what's here, there is the handicapped wheelchair that's really cool. It rides on tracks. Supervisor Nordigan was instrumental in seeing that through. We have the Boundless Adventures High Ropes course. Supervisor Decker can attest to the skill and agility of running over that. It's up in the tree canopy. It's kind of a fun, cool thing. So we start at 6 o'clock, which is a little bit earlier than our usual meeting time. But please, for your own personal entertainment, curiosity, whatever, come out, bring yourself, bring your family, have a blast. It's just a good chance to get acquainted out there. So that is pretty much my comments for the time being, and I thank you. Oh, Highway Q is now open? Okay. And MB starts next week. So, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Grady. Supervisor Belsky.
Thank you, Chair Uhas. Just a brief overview of judiciary and law. The meeting, there are resolutions on tonight's agenda, which we can talk to you at that time. One thing I wanted to share with all of you, on July 3rd, we will have a meeting. I'm sure it will be brief, but we have Clerk of Circuit Courts Rebecca Mateska-Mentek joining us, and I've asked her on a quarterly basis to provide a report, an overview of all of her statistics and what's happening with the Clerk of Courts so that we can put judiciary back in judiciary and law. And I would encourage all of you, I took a very detailed tour of the courthouse, and Becky and staff were wonderful. Please get with Becky, email her if you'd like a one-on-one tour. She would be happy to give you one. I think it's very informative to understand the services that our county provides. In August, we will have Mary Lynn Byer from Juvenile Intake present to us. And then in September, Judge Wilk will be talking about the treatment court, which you'll hear more about tonight. So I would encourage everybody, if you can't attend the meetings, to follow up with the minutes. I think there's some very informative stuff coming up. I will be meeting with the sheriff's office, if not the remainder of this week, next week, to set up ongoing discussions on what we'll have on the agenda for judiciary and law. And then I'll also be talking with the district attorney's office, victim witness, and then we'll talk about jail. So a lot of good changes, I think, and I encourage you all to attend our Wednesday meetings at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Balsky. Supervisor Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just to follow up on the last meeting when I had asked Andy if he would provide us with an economic study that would, and I appreciate you sending that out. I believe you're over there. It was from 2012, so obviously it's a little bit dated and things have changed over the last 12, 13 years, probably since that was done. I don't know what the negotiation aspect of when Country Thunder comes in, if it's anything outside of just with the Sheriff's Department. But I think we should negotiate with them for next year that we add an additional fee to have another economic study done that they pay for, but they don't oversee who does it. Just to see if it is worthwhile for the county to do that with all the associated headaches that come along with that event. So I'm not sure where that would go to, but just throwing that out there. And then on a somewhat personal note, on economic activity, if any of you guys want to run or you have runners in your family, on July 4th, we'll be kicking off the summer's parade with a 1-mile race. And then if any of you guys are rugby fans, we are hosting the first ever beer mile as part of the Mammoth Rugby's tournament that will be in Kennedy Park on June 29th. I think it starts at 10. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Thomas. Supervisor Garcia.
I received the email today, being invited to tomorrow at the Civic Park at noon, 12 o'clock. They're going to be doing a dedication ceremony for Juneteenth, and they asked me to pass that along to the other county board members. So if you can make it, it would be nice if you guys could show up.
Thank you, Supervisor Garcia. Supervisor Franco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick schedule update. Human Services will not be meeting on July 2nd. We have rescheduled our monthly meeting for July 11th. We plan on having a joint committee meeting with Finance to deal with, discuss an important resolution splitting Aging and Disability and Behavioral Services into two divisions, so I just wanted to make that clear. I'll be sending out an email confirming that to the committee as well. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Franco. Anyone else wishing to speak under supervisor reports? Seeing none, supervisor reports are closed.
County Executive Appointments, 11, Felix Garcia to serve on the Kenosha County Board of Health.
Refer to Human Services Committee.
12, Kevin Reisig to serve on the Hooker Lake Management District Board.
Refer to Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee.
Communication received from the County Executive regarding her veto of Policy Resolution 1 as adopted on June 4th, 2024. Motion to override the veto of the County Executive to Policy Resolution 1 as adopted by the County Board on June 4th, 2024. A two-thirds vote of the entire board is required. The motion is stated as above and not in terms of sustaining the veto, because Statute 5917 sub 6 Wisconsin states that if after such reconsideration, two-thirds of the members elect of the board agree to adopt the resolution, it shall become effective.
Okay, is there anyone choosing to move this communication? Supervisor Gens?
Yeah, I would make a motion to override the veto of the county executive on policy resolution 1.
Is there a second? Supervisor Kirby?
I second the motion.
Okay, motion made by Supervisor Gens, second by Supervisor Kirby. Supervisor Gens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm really disappointed in this veto. There have been only 2 vetoes that have been able to be found since we got the executive form of government, and one was on the insurance in 2010, where Executive Cruiser did a line item veto to eliminate insurance from county board supervisors, because we had put it in there that it made its way in there that the county board would receive insurance. He vetoed it, and then on this override, it was 26-1 or 25-2, so there wasn't really any heart in it, but he did veto that. And then the solar panels that Executive Kirkman vetoed. So she's used 2 vetoes, which is double the amount that had been used before. But like I said, I'm really disappointed in this. I'm just going to read from her email and then talk a little bit about it. I have not exercised the ability my office was afforded in 2022 Policy Resolution 2. Well, if you haven't used it, then why do you need it? Honestly. I mean, if you're not going to use it, why do you need it? And then I'm accountable to the voters who elected me. Well, we're all accountable to the voters that elected us, and we set policy. We set policy. The third one is it's difficult for any leader to move their vision forward if they have key team members who do not support what they're trying to accomplish. That, in reading between the lines, shows me that you want all people to think like you and react the way you want them to react. I mean, these reasons are exactly why I didn't think there was a good defense to eliminating this in the first place. So, again, I'm very disappointed, and I hope anybody who looks to run against her in 2 years uses this and sends it off to their printer, because this is a plain and simple power grab, and very disappointing. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any further discussion? Supervisor Stocker.
Yeah, I do not support the override. The county exec is an elected position. These heads of departments are not elected, and they should not be able to thwart what the people have elected the county exec to do. And I'm afraid that by reversing this, that's what we're going to open the door for. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Stocker. Supervisor Nudo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know, I'm gonna vote to override the veto. It seems like, and as Supervisor Gans mentioned, that there were 2 vetoes before, which I disagree a little bit. Actually, there was only 1, because back in 2009, at that time, County Executive Cruiser did measure was going to line veto because of the insurance, but it was agreed prior to that just to go along with it, so it's not, I don't consider that really a veto. Now, this it seems like a pattern that every time, if the county executive doesn't like something that we do, this board, passed this one 13-9, I believe, and this, the one with the solar panel also was passed with 13-9, same thing. Well, they go out and veto. That means this board cannot do anything. Any time that the county executive doesn't like anything that we approve on the county board floor, they're going to veto. It's almost impossible to get 16 votes to override the veto. And this, it seems like a pattern going on. I know in the last 2 years, many times, I was, I won't use the word I was going to use it, but many times I was told, well, if you bring this to the floor, it's going to pass, I'm going to veto, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Well, I just, for that reason, and like some other supervisor, the last time they said that the county executive was elected from the people, so that's what she does. This county board was elected by the people, and if majority of the county board votes for something, whether we like it or not, I think we should stick to that and let the county executive just, will make out law, and so that's my take.
Thank you, Supervisor Nudo. Supervisor Gearston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm voting no on the resolution. Preserving the at-will is in the best interests of the citizens of Kenosha County. I've listened carefully to all the argument. I've heard nothing that changed my mind. So I'm going to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Gearston. Supervisor Grady.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just an opening observation. Maybe I'll say something that a few people in the room are thinking but are not necessarily verbalizing. When I look at this particular proposal, it's quite likely that the override of the veto will not occur. Look at the supervisors, do the numbers, it's going to be the way it's going to be. So there'll be a lot of talk, or at least some amount of talk, but still, there's the proposition that you can say what your rationale is, how you believe it, and the reason that you vote the way that you do. So the comments I'm about to make have nothing to do with Samantha Kirkland as a county executive, but it does have to do with the office of the county executive, and it would be the same for the county executive currently, a previous county executive, or a future county executive. So think about it this way. Go back to your Civics 101 when you were in high school or middle school, whenever it was, and you've got the three branches of government. You've got the legislative, which is we are. You've got the executive, which is what the county executive is, and you've got the judicial. So by and large, without oversimplifying too much, what does the legislative branch do? Well, basically what it does is it represents the people, and it's about spreading the power out. It's making the power more accessible to people. It's about representing people. It's about making it so everyone, or at least most people, the majority of people, have a say in county government. In this case, county government. What does the executive branch do? The executive branch wants to consolidate power. They want to pursue their vision. They want to pursue their dream. They want to do things their way, which is fine. But we have to be the ones that basically level the playing field. Third question is, what does judicial do? Well, oftentimes they mediate between the two and they say, okay, you've gone too far, not enough, whatever, and they kind of sort the whole thing out. So if you look at this, this is really an attempt to consolidate power, to take it from the legislative, put it more towards the executive. If you're in favor of that, you will not support the veto override. You'll do what you think is best. But in the final analysis, that's one of the things that I think needs to be brought to the forefront. I think I had one additional point, but I can't remember it, so it must not be that important. So thank you. I'll yield the floor.
Thank you, Supervisor Grady. Supervisor Franco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a quick question. Does anyone know who wrote the resolution 2 years ago? There's a reason why I'm asking. I was just curious. Was it
Supervisor Decker?
Myself and Supervisor Rose at the time, with the consultation of Corporation Council, worked together.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
I'm going to clear the board. Would anyone else like to speak? Supervisor Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. The county has roughly 1,100 employees. I think division head, department heads, maybe 20. I'll round up. We're concerned about the county exec potentially bringing in her own team or keeping her own team or mixing and matching however she wants of 20 people out of 1,100. I don't think that's a power grab by any stretch of the imagination. It's just someone giving the opportunity to get the best team around them based on whatever their criteria is. And I think going forward, we need to give that privilege to any county executive. But to think this is a power grab is probably the largest exaggeration I've heard in a long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Thomas. Supervisor Kirby.
Hi. So I wanted to bring up, County Executive Kirkman brought up that the voters basically wanted her to do this. And I would definitely disagree with that. 3 of the supervisors who voted for this policy resolution last time no longer have their seats. And I think that really clearly shows that they have not been happy with how the last 2 years have been. And I'm going to vote to override the veto.
Thank you, Supervisor Kirby. Any other supervisors wishing to speak on this? Supervisor Carroll.
Just one quick question, and maybe it's, just understanding how this goes. It's my understanding that the division heads are appointed or by the county executive, but then approved by the county board, right? Don't we confirm the appointments of division heads?
Clara, will you please come up?
Good evening. Yes, they are appointed and then approved by the board.
Okay, so, hypothetically speaking, if a division head was essentially replaced by the county executive, the new one that would be coming in would be appointed or confirmed by the county board, right?
Yes, I would.
Okay, so then we as the county board members, elected officials, still have the power of denying if we don't agree with the county executive's appointment of a new division head. So to me, I think we're finding our balance of power here of trying to find the best people for those positions. Thank you, Clara, for the clarification. That's my only comment.
Thank you, Supervisor Carroll. Supervisor Belsky.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, with regard to department heads, they are not approved by the county board, are they? They're appointed by the county executive, and we only have 2 department heads?
We only have 2 department heads, but yes, they are confirmed by the county board.
Okay.
Any other supervisors wishing to speak on this? Hearing none, this is a roll call. It does require 2/3. You will vote yes if you want to override the veto, and no if you do not.
The motion fails. 12 yes, 10 no. Resolution 13 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Pamela A. Device to serve on the Commission on Aging and Disability Services.
Supervisor Franco.
This passed unanimously at committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Human Services Committee voted unanimously to approve the appointment of Pamela DeVoist. Sorry?
Supervisor Franco, second by
Sorry.
Supervisor Kirby. Supervisor Franco.
I move Resolution 13.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Franco, second by Supervisor Kirby. Supervisor Franco.
Sorry, I was anxious.
That's okay.
The Human Services Committee voted unanimously to approve the appointment of Pamela DeVoist to the Commission of Aging and Disability Services. Ms. DeVoist has served on the commission previously and is very involved in local volunteer organizations. She would make a great addition to the commission, and I would ask for the support of the county board in approving her appointment. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Franco. Any discussion on the appointment? Vice Chair Gashke?
Thank
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to briefly mention my support for Kim DeVoist. My family has gotten to know her through her service at the Public Museum. We often see her there working, and we've built a friendship with her. A couple of months ago, she approached me and asked if I could get the ball rolling to help her serve on this commission. As was mentioned, she has already served in this role. She's currently just finishing up a term on the City of Kenosha Transit Commission, and she's looking to continue to serve and to serve with the county again. So, as was already mentioned, Ms. DeVoist is a advocate for disability rights and serves our community in many ways, and she would serve well in this position. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Gaschke. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 14 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Lori Palmer as the Health Officer Director of the Kenosha County Division of Health. This passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Franco?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Resolution 14.
Moved by Supervisor Franco, seconded by Supervisor Nez. Supervisor Franco.
Yes, the Human Services Committee also voted unanimously to approve the appointment of Lori Palmer to the position of Kenosha County Health Officer. In January 2024, this board approved Lori Palmer as the Director of Health Services. Wisconsin state statute, though, requires that public health agencies also need a health officer appointed, which requires 3 years of experience in a full-time administrative position in either a public health agency or public health work to hold the title of health officer. On April 19th, the Wisconsin Department of Health concluded that Ms. Palmer completed this requirement, and so we are now asking for the board's approval of her appointment as the Kenosha County Health Officer. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Franco. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Supervisor Stocker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was on the Human Services Committee when she first came on in her current position, and when I interviewed her for that, I thought that she was very good. And then in our committee meeting, the things that we talked about seemed to reverse. And so then we talked about it, and she indicated that she never agreed with what was said. She just didn't say that she disagreed. So there was a little bit of game playing there in my mind. And then in other conversations I've had with her, she said things that later she says she didn't say. I'm having a real hard time with her integrity, and the Human Services is a group that we need to build trust, not destroy it. And at this point, I have no trust at this in her. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Stocker. Supervisor Gens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say that I have talked to her, and I actually spent 15 minutes on the phone with her, and I found her to be very forthright, and I think she will do a great job. So I just wanted to voice my support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Gens. Anyone else wishing to speak on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Let the record reflect Supervisor Stocker, nay. Motion passes.
Resolution 15 from the Human Services Committee and the Finance Administration Committee, a resolution to modify the Division of Aging, Disability, and Behavioral Health Services 2024 budget for a grant, Every Court is a Treatment Court initiative. This passed unanimously at both committees. Supervisor Kirby excused.
Supervisor Franco?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Resolution 15.
Moved by Supervisor Franco, seconded by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Franco.
Yes, the Human Services Committee and Finance Committee, as mentioned, voted unanimously to accept a federal 3-year grant that would implement the Every Court is a Treatment Court initiative in Kenosha County. This program will enable the criminal court to leverage the research-based practices set forth in the Adult Drug Court Best Practices Standards in order to achieve improved outcomes for court-involved individuals with substance abuse disorders, such as reducing recidivism rates, preventing drug overdoses and fatalities, as well as alleviating the backlog in our court system and protecting public safety, to name a few. The National Association of Drug Court Professionals will work with the county to assess and develop a written action plan in order to implement critical enhancements. These enhancements include a universal risk need screening analysis that will identify low-risk, high-need individuals who will be eligible for the program. Those cases will then be referred by a treatment court team, and once an agreement is established, the individual will begin the program. If there are any questions, Judge Russell and Carrie Floss are here to answer any questions. Otherwise, I ask for the board's support for this resolution. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Franco. Any discussion on this item? Supervisor Stocker.
Sorry, I'm very active tonight, but thank you, Madam Chair. What are the criteria that show success or not success in this program? And what is the history of success that it has shown?
Do we want to? There's a difference between the criteria, as far as I understand it, to be accepted in the program and the criteria for success. I think they probably overlap, but I'll let either Carrie Floss or Judge Russell address that more specifically.
Judge Rosal, would you mind coming up to the podium, please? Thank you.
Good evening. So, in our drug court, success is defined by a lack of recidivism, and our drug court, run by Judge Wilk, aims for high-risk, high-need individuals. So in other words, people who are going to prison unless they can address their high substance abuse need. This grant, developed by the BJI, Bureau of Justice Initiatives, out of federal government, is an innovation grant. And Kenosha was selected out of, they wanted 3 counties in Wisconsin when they came to me as chief judge, and the committee of the chief judges, we were the only one who applied. We are the largest site that they're going to work with. The idea is we're going after high risk, turn that around, low risk, high need. So the people who are looking to affect are the people who are on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of their crimes, and to address their substance abuse need at that level. And the goal would be they don't ever turn into the high-risk people. So in other words, we catch them while they're committing, in layman's terms, we catch them while they're committing retail thefts, obstructing. It's not saying that these are inconsequential crimes, but we try to catch them at that point, address their need before a number of cases I see where people who are drug addicted then go start robbing homes or committing more violent offenses trying to get money to get their drugs. So the goal would be the measurement, I should say this last thing, you asked about measurement. Part of the grant is the National Association of Drug Court Professionals, which is now called All Rise, will actually study the impact, and will provide that study back to us when it's all done.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Judge Rosal. Supervisor Stocker, do you have any?
No, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. Okay. Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Chair Uhas. To address Supervisor Stocker's concern, I brought that up in committee, and it was much more detailed, the answer. Obviously, we had more time. I was fully satisfied that this program is an absolute terrific program. It's not costing us anything, at least for the next 3 years, and if it does everything that it's designed to do, we may be saving money and be able to continue the program and use that savings to continue the program. So I was very happy with what was explained at the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Nordigan. Supervisor Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I just, on the committee as well, and spent a few hours researching this. And a similar program or a program like this has probably evolved over time, but it's been around for at least 30 years. And the best report that I could find on recidivism rate, if those that don't go through the program get arrested 2.3 times again, those that do go through the program get arrested 1.6 times again. That was the best report I could find that was out there. There's not a lot of reports based on the success of these programs, because there are a bunch of islands all across the country that don't quite coordinate, at least based on the research I did. And that was all. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Thomas. Supervisor Meadows.
My question was subsequently answered, so I yield.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, this is a 2/3. Vote yes if you're in favor of the grant, no if you are not.
Resolution 15 passes unanimously. Resolution 16 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of John Morrissey to serve as a member of the Kenosha County Local Emergency Planning Committee, Group 1, elected local official. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Morrissey abstained.
Supervisor Balsky.
Move Resolution 16.
Motion made by Supervisor Balsky, second by Supervisor Franco. Supervisor Balsky.
The requirements for this appointment is a elected local official, which Supervisor Morrissey is, but he's also experienced as a retired City of Kenosha Chief of Police. I ask for everybody's approval on this resolution.
Supervisor Morrissey.
I'll be abstaining.
Okay, let the record show Supervisor Morrissey is abstaining. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes with Supervisor Morrissey abstaining.
Resolution 17 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee, a resolution to approve the probationary cabaret license for Stumble Inn Bar and Grill at 1501 200th Avenue in the town of Paris. This passed unanimously at committee.
Supervisor Balsky.
I move Resolution 17.
Moved by Supervisor Balsky, seconded by Supervisor Brookhouse. Supervisor Balsky.
Thank you. Captain Klinkhammer presented this probationary cabaret license. We went over some of the items that were listed in calls. They were not associated with Stumble Inn Bar and Grill. As it was stated, there was a unanimous approval, and I ask for your approval tonight.
Thank you, Supervisor Balsky. Any discussion on this item? Supervisor Stocker.
Does this place have any gambling machines in it?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Stocker. Any further questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Resolution 18 from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee and Finance Administration Committee, a resolution to accept the Wisconsin DOJ DTR Grant Award. This passed unanimously at both committees. Supervisor Kirby excused.
Supervisor Balsky.
I move Resolution 18.
Moved by Supervisor Balsky, second by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Balsky.
Thank you. Captain Klinkhammer presented and prepared this resolution. It is in the amount of $39,237, and it supports a multi-jurisdictional drug task force that includes Kenosha, Racine, Dodge, Jefferson, and Walworth counties. Kenosha's portion of the grant would be attributed to $7,904 for 2024 support equipment costs and surveillance equipment, vehicles, and necessary supplies. Kenosha County also acts as a fiduciary for the remaining balance of the grant and is responsible for distribution of funds to the 4 other counties. This was approved unanimously, and I ask for your vote this evening.
Thank you, Supervisor Balsky. Any discussion on this resolution? Seeing none? Oh, sorry, Supervisor Poole?
Yes, I noticed up on the board it says Grand Award. It should be Grant, G-R-A-N-T. So please let the record show that is Grant, not Grand.
Thank you, Supervisor Poole. Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Chair Uhas. I guess the question is there expense for the county to be a fiduciary?
No.
There's none? Mm-mm. We don't cut checks? We don't have the staff doing anything? Sorry, we don't cut checks or have staff do anything?
They approve the budget modifications
Right,
on
which they
a
would do
modification
anyway.
form, and
Okay.
that's about it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Nordigan. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this does require a 2/3 vote. If you're in favor, vote yes. Opposed, vote no. Motion passes unanimously.
No, that's okay. Resolution 19 from the Public Works and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution for an intergovernmental agreement on the transfer of 3 parcels by Kenosha County and the City of Kenosha for Hillside Hardware at 4615 52nd Street. This passed unanimously at both committees. Supervisor Decker, Franco, and Meadows were excused from the Public Works Committee, and Supervisor Kirby was excused from Finance and Administration Committee.
Supervisor Grady.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move resolution number 19.
Moved by Supervisor Grady, second by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Grady.
This was brought forward to our Public Works Committee. My first question was, why are we looking at this? Because it's in the city of Kenosha. And the answer was given to me that it came back on a tax deed, and so the county has some involvement with this particular property. So it's been an agreement that's been hammered out between ourselves and the city. I believe this property will require some remediation at some point or another due to site contamination, et cetera. But we want to get this thing back on the tax roll and move it along. If you want technical answers, we have Director Billingsley here, and she will answer all of your questions if need be. But I would ask your approval this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Grady. Supervisor Gens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Supervisor Grady hit it right on the head. That was my first question. Who's going to pay for the remediation? That should be all our questions. And it was the city, so thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm trying to remember, didn't we get some type of settlement money that was, I forget what company it was, but we were going to use some of that money for a cleanup around Porio Park and Hillside?
Supervisor Grady, would you like to talk to that, or Shelley?
I don't have a background on that. I can't comment.
Shelley, would you please come up?
Yes, the county did receive what was called a Monsanto agreement, so those funds that the county would contribute would come out of that as part of that resolution.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand. So really, we're assisting paying for this cleanup potential, because we could potentially be using that money on something else that's not an agreement between the city and the county. We could be doing, or is it just that money from the settlement, whatever that was? I don't recall.
So the agreement in front of you is that the county would pay for the demolition to remove the building from the site, and then the city would do all the remediation for the environmental concerns.
Okay, so that money that we received, having something demolished, would qualify on how we can use that money then?
Yes, because it needs to be demolished to get to the environmental concerns.
Okay, and that was from all the paint that was downstairs. I'm teasing. I used to go there years ago. So, okay, I just remembered that coming up in the past, and I couldn't, just wanted to connect the dots. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Thomas. Any further discussion? Supervisor Morrissey.
I will just note, there was a $150,000 grant that the city applied for and was granted to assist in the cleanup and demolition of this property.
Thank you. Supervisor Decker.
Do we have an estimated cost what the demolition will cost the county?
Shelley?
I did have that in here, so just bear with me for 1 second. Don't want to misspeak. So we were estimating about $150,000 for site clearance, but with actually the city getting what they call a SAG grant, that's an 80-20 split. So the cost for payback to the city would be the 20%, I'm sorry.
So we would pay 20% and the city doesn't pay anything because they got a grant?
They would pay for the site remediation. So they would have an 80-20 split to do site investigation to get them to the remediation activities.
Okay, and when the property gets sold, who gets the money from that?
This property would be transferred to the city, so I would believe that would be city costs.
So we're going to pay, and then it's possibly could get sold, and then the city gets to keep all the profit?
Our estimation right now, I believe that the remediation and the cost of site investigation would be more than the approximately $40,000 that the county would pay in the SAG grant award.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Decker. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Resolution 20 from the Public Works and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution for an MOU between Kenosha County and Camp and Center Lakes Rehab District relating to the ownership, maintenance, and operation of 2 County Trunk Highway C water control structures. This passed unanimously at both committees. Supervisor Decker, Franco, and Meadows excused from Public Works. Supervisor Kirby excused from Finance and Administration.
Supervisor Grady?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move resolution number 20.
Moved by Supervisor Grady, seconded by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Grady.
This is a resolution for dam control. It's actually valving that goes in between the 2 waterways, and we've maintained this for a number of years. It's really not in our best interest to continue to do so. They've expressed interest in taking over this, I would say somewhat burdensome detail, so we're willing to pass that along to them, and we ask your approval this evening.
Thank you, Supervisor Grady. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Resolution 21 from the Public Works and Finance Administration Committees, a resolution for Master Bike Share Program Agreement between Kenosha County and Tandem Mobility, LLC, with 2 location agreements for Kemper Center and Petrifying Springs Park. This passed unanimously at both committees. Supervisor Decker, Franco, Meadows excused Public Works, and Supervisor Kirby excused from Finance and Administration Committee.
Supervisor Grady.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move resolution number 21.
Moved by Supervisor Grady, seconded by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Grady.
This is a happy one. It's a smiling one where everyone gets to feel good about it because it's kind of a cool thing. These types of things, these bike share agreements have been in communities around our area, and now we're seeing where we have the opportunity to implement some of that. It comes at little or no cost to Kenosha County. It's simply that we provide the footprint for the bike lots themselves. If you look deep in your packet, it's actually designated the specific location proposed for the beer garden at Petrifying Springs, and then adjacent to the parking lot at Kemper. So it's one of these things where if it works out and it seems like it's a good deal and it's progressing along, we could eventually see other locations that could branch out. It's quite a detailed memorandum. If you have any questions, again, Director Billingsley is here for your questions, but ask your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Grady. Supervisor Thomas.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I have a number of questions, so if maybe
Shelley or
whoever
Andy?
wants to come up. I guess the first one is I spent a little bit of time on this company's website, and they're proposing 54 bikes for these 2 locations, and on their website it says pending. I can't imagine there's going to be 27 bikes at Kemper and 27 bikes out at Pets. Have they confirmed that number with you?
Yeah, so basically there are actually 9 total locations currently proposed, only 2 on county property, which is before the county tonight for approval on the location agreements. But there's locations at the Pleasant Prairie Beer Garden, potentially 2 to 3 in the city, Carthage, Parkside, and Gateway.
Okay. Part of down here, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, it's the 5th whereas. It refers to Tandem Mobility and Kenosha County securing sponsorship funding for this program. Are we actually going to go out and look for sponsors? to host these bikes at two parks?
So for the whole program to operate, it's all based on sponsorship, which is the advertising on the bikes or on the bike racks. And so Tandem Mobility, the company, will be going out to secure that sponsorship, and we at the county will be providing some assistance with them on that. And all the funding that is obtained will determine exactly how many locations and bikes can actually be fulfilled.
Okay, so how will we be assisting them finding sponsors to have these bikes in these different locations?
We're giving them a list of some of the companies around that we think could be potential entities, so that they can give them a call and set up meetings.
Yeah, I looked on there and I tried to look at their business model on, besides having a bike there, what the benefit might be for us. There's no monetary benefit, it appears like, with the beer gardens or the ropes course or anything that goes out at Silver Lake Park or out at Old Settlers Park. Is there any formula where we get any financial benefit from this immediately or long-term?
There is not. It's basically a pure amenity for the community. This is one of the goals of the bike committee, the Active Communities Committee, was to look in expanding bike activities, biking type functions, and this is an amenity that is viewed to be something that would be positive for the community, and there's no cost to the county in doing so.
So did this Tandem Mobility, did they provide you with a study determining that there was been some type of a demand here for that? And I'm trying to figure out why they would want to do this if the only way they're going to, I know you pay to use the bike, and it's an RFID that locks and unlocks it, and you can take it for however long you need, and then you have to return it back to where you got it from. I'm trying to understand, so if a bike gets damaged, are they coming out to repair it?
Correct.
Okay. If it's left on the side of the road, who gets that?
They take care of that.
Okay. And how much real estate? I know there was a comment by Supervisor Jens saying, because this is accessible 24/7, we want it to be a lit area. Have we taken into account, are they going to pay for putting down the concrete and mounting the proper hardware? And I'm assuming some of these are e-bikes. Is there any type of cover that needs to be put over this, that any expense that we're going to have in creating this location for them, or are they paying for all of that?
I believe the only expense we have is laying the concrete at Petrifying Springs, a 10 by 20 pad that's just north of the existing bike rack, is to extend that 20 more feet, and that would allow for the rack to be assembled to that, and the company is the one that installs it.
Okay. Yeah, the only other one that they have in the state is up in Wausau, or was it Eau Claire? I can't remember which one now.
Wausau.
What was it, Wausau? Did we check with them to see how they are working with this company and if it's been a good relationship?
We did, and they did say they had positive aspects with them.
So did they have like their bikes, like we'll say out at Rib Mountain, and then at some other location that was?
No, they have some bikes along the river.
Okay.
Yeah, they have only one location there.
Yeah, okay. All right, I do have some hesitations on this, putting bikes that people can rent right next to where people are drinking. I have some liability concerns, but hopefully they'll wear a helmet. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Thomas. Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Chairman Haas. Because in the first whereas, it says a mix of pedal and pedal assist. Pedal assist would be e-bikes. E-bikes need to be charged. Are they going to hook chargers up? Who's going to be paying for that? And then who's paying for the electric to charge them up?
So they'll run on batteries, and the batteries are replaced as they're depleted, and there's a maintenance person that goes around and replaces the batteries.
Okay, so there won't be any electric hookup to the bike racks or anything like that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Nordigan. Any further questions? Seeing none? Oh, Supervisor Grady?
No, none for me, I'm sorry.
Okay. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Resolution 22 from the Public Works and Finance Administration Committees, a resolution for We Energies permanent distribution easement for 912 56th Street, 1000 55th Street, and 927 54th Street. This passed unanimously at both committees. Supervisors Decker, Franco, and Meadows excused from Public Works. Supervisor Kirby excused from Finance and Administration.
Supervisor Grady.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move resolution number 22.
Moved by Supervisor Grady, seconded by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Grady.
This is one of the items that routinely comes across Public Works jurisdiction, and it has to do with utility wanting to be able to place cabling, could be for communication, could be power, could be for whatever. And in this particular case, we're looking at our downtown campus. It's been reviewed and vetted by Public Works. I'd ask your approval this evening.
Thank you, Supervisor Grady. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 23 from Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, a resolution regarding to approve the appointment of Barbara Ford to the Zoning Board of Adjustments. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Thomas excused.
Supervisor Brookhouse?
Resolution 23.
Moved by Supervisor Brookhouse, seconded by Supervisor Decker. Supervisor Brookhouse.
Regarding the appointment of Barbara Ford to the Kenosha County Zoning Board of Adjustments, which was approved unanimously by PDEC.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Brookhouse. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 24 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, a resolution regarding to approve the appointment of Supervisor John Franco to the Kenosha County Land Information Council. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Thomas excused.
Supervisor Brookhouse.
I move Resolution 24.
Moved by Supervisor Brookhouse, seconded by Supervisor Gerstin. Supervisor Brookhouse.
Regarding the appointment of John Franco to the Kenosha County Land Information Council, which was approved unanimously by PDEC.
Thank you, Supervisor Brookhouse. Supervisor Franco.
I will be abstaining.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries with Supervisor Franco abstaining. Yes.
Resolution 25 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee and the Finance Administration Committee, a resolution for a memorandum of agreement for professional services between Kenosha County and the Village of Salem Lakes for Kenosha County to administer the village's zoning and shoreland floodplain ordinance and administer and issue the appropriate permits in accordance to the village's general permitting ordinance. This passed unanimously at both committees. Supervisor Thomas excused from PDEC and Supervisor Kirby excused from Finance and Administration.
Supervisor Brookhouse.
I move Resolution 25.
Moved by Supervisor Brookhouse, seconded by Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Brookhouse.
Regarding the memorandum of agreement for professional services between Kenosha County and the Village of Salem Lakes for Kenosha County to administer permitting, zoning, floodplain ordinances, which was approved unanimously at PDEC.
Thank you, Supervisor Brookhouse. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, this is a 2/3 vote, so if you're in favor, vote yes. No if you are not. Supervisor Meadows.
Resolution 25 passes unanimously. Resolution 26 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, a resolution regarding Andrew B. and Lucille A. Loyce, Family Trust owner, requesting an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 65 of the comprehensive plan, from suburban density residential and isolated natural resource area to general agricultural and open land, farmland protection, and isolated natural reserve area in the town of Wheatland. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Thomas excused.
Supervisor Brookhouse?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Resolution 26.
Moved by Supervisor Brookhouse, seconded by Supervisor Carroll. Supervisor Brookhouse.
Regarding Andrew B. and Lucille A. Loyce, Family Trust requesting to amend land use from suburban density residential and isolated natural resource area to general agriculture and open land, farmland, an isolated natural resource area, which was approved by the town of Wheatland and approved unanimously by PDEC.
Thank you, Supervisor Brookhouse. Any discussion on this item? Supervisor Carroll.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Uhas. I just wanted to say that this is a little bit unconventional, because normally in the comprehensive plan, we're going from something that's rural to more dense, and this one we're taking from a subdivision back to rural land, but this is a farming family from western Kenosha County, and I just wanted to let the board know that, you know, as one of the most outstanding family farmers in western Kenosha County, the family's been farming the land since 1848. So they're just going through the family transition, and that's why the need for the property rearranging is going on. So I'll be supporting this resolution and the subsequent ordinances after this.
Thank you, Supervisor Carroll. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Ordinance 7 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Andrew B. and Lucille A. Loyce, Family Trust owner, requesting an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 65 of the comprehensive plan, from suburban density residential and isolated natural resource area to general agricultural and open land, farmland protection, and isolated natural resource area in the town of Wheatland. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Thomas excused.
Supervisor Brookhouse.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Ordinance 7.
Moved by Supervisor Brookhouse, seconded by Supervisor Meadows. Supervisor Brookhouse.
Regarding Andrew B. and Lucille A. Loyce Family Trust requesting to amend land use from suburban density residential and isolated natural resource area to general agriculture and open land, farmland, isolated natural resource area, which was approved by the town of Wheatland and unanimously approved by PDEC.
Thank you, Supervisor Brookhouse. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Ordinance 8 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Andrew B. and Lucille A. Loyce Family Trust owner, request a rezoning from A1 Agricultural Preservation District to A2 General Agricultural District in the town of Wheatland. This passed unanimously at committee. Supervisor Thomas excused.
Supervisor Brookhouse.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Ordinance 8.
Moved by Supervisor Brookhouse, seconded by Supervisor Decker. Supervisor Brookhouse.
Regarding Andrew B. and Lucille A. Loyce Family Trust to rezone land from A1 Agricultural Preservation to A2 General Agricultural, which was approved by the town of Wheatland and unanimously approved by PDEC.
Thank you, Supervisor Brookhouse. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Communications 24, communication from Supervisor Morrissey, a resolution supporting the Kenosha, Racine, Milwaukee, KRM Regional Rail Line.
Refer to Legislative Committee.
25, communication from Corporation Counsel Joseph M. Cardamone III, a resolution authorizing Kenosha County to enter into the settlement agreement with the Kroger Company and agree to the terms of the addendum to the MOU allocating settlement proceeds.
Refer to Finance Administration Committee.
26, communication from John F. Moyer, an ordinance amending the municipal code for Kenosha County, 3.63, granting a former owner the right to repurchase property taken by tax deed.
Refer to Finance Administration Committee.
27, communication from Andy M. Bueller regarding future items scheduled before the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee.
Receive and file.
28, communication from the Human Services and Finance Administration Committees, a resolution to split the Division of Aging, Disability, and Behavioral Health Services into two divisions to be Division of Aging and Disability Services and Division of Behavioral Health Services.
Refer to Human Services and Finance Administration Committees.
29, communication from the Finance Administration Committee, a resolution for an advisory levy.
Refer to Finance Administration Committee.
30, communication from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution authorizing and providing for the issuance of not to exceed unknown general obligation promissory notes and/or bonds, providing for the notification and sale of said notes and bonds and other related details.
Refer to Finance Administration Committee.
Claims 15, Kevin Mathewson, other.
Refer to Corporation Council.
The approval of the June 4th, 2024 Kenosha County Board meeting minutes by Supervisor Garcia.
Supervisor Garcia.
Move to approve the June 4th, 2024 County Board meeting minutes.
Motion by Supervisor Garcia, second by Supervisor Morrissey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Second.
Motion to
Third.
adjourn. Motion by Supervisor Gunn, second by Supervisor Decker, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.